Hello, listeners and viewers. Welcome back to the YouTuber Spotlight podcast, the podcast where I interview some of my most favourite YouTubers on the internet. It's been ages since I last recorded an episode of this, so some of you might be thinking, is this series on hiatus or whatever? No, it isn't. It's just I never got round to recording another one, as per usual with most of my projects. Just a bit of housekeeping before I actually get to the interview. Now we've actually managed to set up the audio podcast side of things up and running again. What I've done is reset our Jellycast podcast site. So now for people who want to just listen to audio-only versions of some of our podcasts and videos, feel free to subscribe to us on Jellycast, astrogation.jellycast.com, and just click on the subscribe via iTunes, or if you prefer, just download them as MP3s with whatever program that you like. So everything should be up to date, and just feel free to download them as you see fit. And as always, feel free to make any post any messages or comments or send any feedback to my YouTube inbox. So, hello Caleb, how you doing over there?
I'm very okay, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good today. The weather's not particularly brilliant, but that's Britain for you. We never get any sunshine at all. So, yes, this is episode 5 of the YouTube Spotlight podcast, the podcast where I interview various people on the interwebs and ask them about their experiences of making videos on the internet. And I never thought to ask, I don't know why I haven't interviewed you before, because you'd be one of the best candidates to do it, because you seem to sell yourself so well when you actually do collabs and things. Because the last time we did, well, it was that commentary on that video I did ages ago. I can't remember what
it was. The fan culture one.
It was the fan culture one, yeah. And you were one of the best. You certainly sold yourself better than I do when I make these like audio podcasts and things or whatever. So when did you actually? So okay, first of all, I've got to ask you this before I start rambling on.
Okay.
What is your channel actually about? Can you just summarise to the viewers out there who haven't seen your channel before? What is it your channel specialises in?
Well, my current channel, NessMudkipz, is pretty much a hybrid channel between anime and game reviews. So generally, I'll talk about things that happen in either of the industries. You know, for example, if new games or new animes are announced, or manga or whatever, really, I'll talk about that. And of course, I'll actually do longer reviews, which I've just started doing. I've only got 2 of them out so far, but they've been pretty good so far, which will be properly edited with clips and everything. And I might start doing this for games soon, not entirely sure yet, but I'd also like to dip into the Let's Play side of things, but that has just been a bit of an experiment so far, with a couple of parts of Super Mario World out so far, which I've been playing. So yeah, aside from that, it's really just a mixture between anime and games content, really.
So when did you actually start making YouTube videos? Can you actually remember? Because this isn't actually your first channel, is it? You've recently transitioned to a new channel. What happened there?
Yeah, well, essentially, I was offered a partnership from the RPM network, and I thought it'd be really good to take that on board. But due to some unforeseen circumstances beforehand, my AdSense had been disabled, which prevented me from accepting it, which was a real pain in the arse, really, because I really wanted to. Tell me about it. Yeah, because I really wanted to do it. So I thought, and I wasn't allowed custom thumbnails either, and that feature was never coming back. So I figured before, I got too many subscribers, I thought I'd bite the bullet, jump over to a new channel where I'd get all these features back, So I did that. It was sort of a good way to get a fresh start as well, because, back on my old channel, there was some older content, that which I wouldn't really consider up to scratch, and just some sort of little experiment things, which we can, get on to talking about later as well, which are pretty fun to do. But yeah, so that was the main reason I jumped over to this new channel.
So you wanted a fresh start, and you had a lot of problems with AdSense. So what actually happened? Did your channel get hacked? You did tell me a while back, but
it was the exact thing was. Well, it was an old friend of mine who I still talk to now, quite a lot actually. We both discovered that, you could put ads on your video to make money, and we thought this was some sort of a amazing thing. We'd be rich, but obviously not. That's never the way with YouTube. So
from 98% of people anyway.
Yeah. So we went through this entire thing. We did it. We signed up the entire thing. Now my friend had the bright idea to click my ads for me, so that I'd make money.
Yeah, so the refresh spams F5 thing.
Yeah, essentially that, and clicking my ads, and then that pretty much, AdSense to me, right? Okay, you got invalid click activities. We're going to disable this, and you can only, then they give you one chance to appeal it. So you can go in there and say, look, this was my fault or something. But if they don't like it for the first time, that's it, you're done. There's no way out to make a new channel. So, obviously I said, look, this wasn't my fault. Someone else clicked on my ads, and they weren't having any of it. So there was like no way around that, really. I just had to start a new channel, and I mean, I was kind of annoyed I had to do it, because I really didn't want to do it. But at the same time, it was a good way to have a fresh start, so...
Well, sometimes, it's better to, like, if your channel's, like, stagnating anyway, so it's better to say, oh, okay, I'll create a new one and have a fresh start with everything. So, so when did you actually start making YouTube videos? Was this like a planned thing, or was it something that you sort of fell into?
It was really something that I fell into, sort of, because, I mean, it started way back in the summer of 2010. Now, my very first video is, nothing like what I do now. It's got nothing to do with anime, nothing to do with video games, nothing like that. But essentially, we were my friend Dell, or he goes by Dell on my channel normally. You guys might know if you've seen any of my videos from gameplay or something. Essentially, me and him were watching a movie where there was a scene in it. I can't remember what movie it was now, but it was really good. But there was essentially a scene in it where everything was sort of played backwards, and then we realised what sort of fun effects you could do by playing video backwards. So essentially, we had this idea to make a video which we called Epic Powers, because epic was the cool word at the time. Obviously, it isn't now. Well, at least not for me. Where essentially we would, do a bunch of like stuff and put it in reverse that would create some really cool effects. So just for a laugh, we did that, and it's still up. It's got about 500 odd views now. It was mainly people just from my school watching it, and that sort of went well. So that was really my first. That was definitely my first foray into making videos. So that went pretty well. And then after that, I wanted to get into some more gaming related stuff, because this is before I was actually into anime. So anime manga was out of the question at this point. But essentially, Minecraft was the hot game at the time, and this was before everyone and their dog was doing Minecraft videos.
It's like the done thing now, isn't it?
Yeah, there's not a lot else that can be done with it. But so pretty much back then, this was when Minecraft was still an alpha. So I just wanted a way to do a Minecraft video, so I just did a stupid little house tutorial thing, which if you want to, that is the extent of embarrassing things you can find of me back then, pretty much.
So are they still available, or have you taken them down? The
Minecraft one, despite being my most successful video ever, which got over 8,000 views, I did take it down because it was pretty stupid, and it just I didn't see it didn't fit in with what else I was doing on my channel later on. So essentially I took that down. But this backwards one and its sequel, which I did later as well, are both still up there, just because they're pretty fun to watch, and I enjoyed just watching them sometimes, just for nostalgia's sake. And
it's you're probably different to me then. Like, I've got a ton. Well, I started YouTube like in 2007, so I've got a lot more content on like old hard drives knocking around. I've got some of the stuff on there is just, I'm horrified to go back to look at and replay. With my Minecraft ones, I've still got like a couple of really small Minecraft Let's Play. It's not particularly brilliant, but it did do fairly well. I got like about 400 or 500 views, which is like, even for a particularly poor Minecraft video, that's pretty good. But it's just once you've done everything with everybody seems to do an awful lot with Minecraft these days, so it's not really particularly compelling for me to do that anymore. But like, are you actually going to start re-uploading some of your older videos, or are you the kind of guy that prefers to like move on and make new content all the time?
Honestly, there aren't too many that aren't already up, that could be uploaded. So to be honest, I do prefer to move on and create new content. But for example, like that Minecraft one, maybe at some point in the future, if people are really curious to know like what I did back then, maybe I'd upload that Epic Powers thing and Minecraft, that Minecraft stuff. So yeah, just if people are curious, I would say warning, cringeworthy videos coming up. But if people get curious, then yeah, maybe I will.
Well, yeah, I'm still pondering whether to upload some of my older stuff again, like my old Bizarre Worlds and stuff. You can't; they're like rare videos now. Ooh. Yeah, they're nothing special, but I really. When I ask this question to some people say, yeah, I don't, that's the sort of videos I used to make. I don't mind them. I'll leave them up there forever. But like I'm the sort of guy like looking back at certain things, like I look at, think, I'll take that down. It's not particularly brilliant anymore. It doesn't hold up very well anymore. But then again, when I used to have my old channel, my old Citizen Wolf channel, I took everything down mainly because like I wanted to move to Blip and then change my mind and start up again on YouTube. But like I'm the sort of guy that thinks half the stuff I make isn't worth keeping. I'll put it on a hard drive, like if I ever need to reference it again, but I'll never ever put it on YouTube again.
I know what you mean. I mean, I have got quite a few failed recordings knocking about my hard drive, and I look at them and go, "Good God, what was I thinking then?" So I mean, that could be a fun thing to upload, so just to embarrass
like
myself.
a compilation of like older stuff that you're embarrassed about. So I wouldn't do that, to be honest. Really, I'm horrified of the stuff I used to make. So when was it like? When did you make the decision to transition over to more manga and anime based videos? Was it when did you actually get into the anime? Was it quite a recent hobby that you got into?
Yeah, anime's relatively recent for me. I believe it was only about 3 years ago that I really got into it. I started watching, as you guys know, it has come up in every single video I'm ever in. My favourite video was, my favourite anime is Dragon Ball, and I started watching Dragon Ball Z online just because I don't know, there was I just had some sort of curiosity about it. I tried to get into it in the past, I'd never quite done it, Don't think I wasn't really, I don't want to say I wasn't ready for anime because that sounds really weird, but essentially, so I got into it, started watching it, fell in love with it somehow. And then I pretty much marathoned all 291 episodes over a couple of months, which nowadays when I try and watch anime, I simply can't do anymore. So I wish I could have that that drive to watch stuff back again. But so eventually so pretty much I watched through all that. I started watching other anime. I got into anime, and then it's kind of fuzzy for me. But I believe my anime related videos really started when I first went to MCM Expo the first time I went, which I believe was October 2011. October 2011 was the first one I went to.
So a couple of years ago.
And I did a video on that when I got back. Pretty much just a basic sort of vlog thing. But I did that, and then, I hadn't really been doing things that seriously for about the next year or half a year. So pretty much I just bought DVDs and said, okay, look, I picked this up. And then it's only recently I started doing some unboxing stuff, and I started doing, proper reviews and discussion videos on various topics for anime. So I'd say that only started about a year ago, maybe. Because it was towards the end of my old channel and, the entire time on my new channel, NessMudkipz. So, yeah, it is a relatively recent thing, the whole anime and manga.
Because, of course, people who've watched my videos all the time, I think I've mentioned it a few times, and especially you'll know this if you've watched the fan culture video. It's anime to me is like that medium that I find intelligible most of the time. I find it quite still I'm interested. It's just I'm tempted to. I'm not sure where to start most of the time. I used to watch anime years ago when we used to have satellite and stuff. We had back when we had Fox Kids and stuff. When that was still knocking around. I remember vague recollections of Sailor Moon, and that was I used to watch that one all the time actually. And what was the other one? It was Card Captors. That was the other one. And of course, I saw Dragon Ball Z as well when Cartoon Network and Toonami was still. Is that still around?
Toonami, nah. Toonami's... Well, it's odd because it's been revived in America, but it's, a late night block only on Saturdays.
It's a programming block. It used to be a separate channel, didn't it?
That was only for the UK, actually. We got a separate channel. In America, it was always a programming block.
That's bizarre. I found that bizarre. I thought anime was bigger over in... It'd make more sense to have a separate channel over in America, I would have thought.
Yeah, well, Toonami wasn't specifically for anime. More action cartoons, So I guess you got sort of Samurai Jack, that sort of thing on there as well.
Yeah, I remember that vaguely as well. That's another thing. See if we can get on DVD. I'll have to look at that. But yeah, DVDs is always... DVDs are a massive topic amongst the anime community, aren't they? Because a lot of anime fans I've got... look at my anime collection, my DVD collection, and I want it on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
So, is anime particularly difficult to get a hold of on DVD, or is localization issues still a major problem when releases come over in the West?
Well, generally, if a series has gained enough popularity to be sort of, notified by the anime community, it will get eventually scooped up by a distributor in America or even the UK. I mean, a lot of the time it will go straight to Funimation, it's the biggest distributor for anime in the US, and they'll give it a dub, or sometimes if it's a lower key sort of thing, they'll just release it on DVD. And then a lot of the time, Mag UK, who you might hear me and some of the other guys talking about quite a lot, who's the biggest distributor for anime over here, will generally pick up titles from them and release them over here as well. So occasionally we'll get stuff before America, but that's very rare. And if we do, it's generally quite small stuff that not a lot of people will care about.
Like the obscure stuff that not many people would have heard of.
Yeah, that sort of thing. So because then generally the licenses are cheaper to pick up, so they'll just think, oh, okay, we'll sell a couple of thousand units of this maybe, so worth picking up, I suppose. But yeah, in terms of localization, I guess it's more of a problem for the UK than the US. I mean, there's still quite a lot of really good shows that should make their way over here that haven't yet.
Like example, they're not the studios are not choosing to localize them for whatever reason. Is that the main problem?
Yeah, I mean, for example, any anime fans watching will know the scandal with One Piece, which essentially the abridged version is that there's a dubbing company called 4Kids who, as the name implies, always dub their anime.
They did the Pokemon anime, didn't they?
They did, yes. Yeah. And that was probably one of the best things they've actually done. But essentially, whatever anime they'll pick up, they'll sort of direct it. They'll change the target audience to make it for the 7 to 12 audience. When they got One Piece, which is a shonen anime, so generally for the 13 to 20 sort of audience, they of course put it for the 7 to 12 audience, and they produce this horrendous dub of it. And the reason it took us so long to actually get, One Piece in Japanese and the newer good dub that was produced is, I believe it's because Toei, who distribute One Piece, that is, was simply just so worried about after what happened with 4Kids. They just didn't really want to give it out that much anymore. So there's a problem there with some companies ruining it like that, and they actually themselves took the license off of 4Kids. It wasn't that 4Kids decided to drop it, which was a pretty interesting.
So they basically say like you did a terrible job with our property. We're just taking it back off you. Is that
yeah.
Like they in breach of contract sort of thing? Was that?
Yeah, that was pretty much it, and it was pretty crazy that happened. But nothing on that sort of scale has really happened since. That's a smaller thing, but it really just boils down to popularity, I guess, for things getting localized. I mean, I'd say anime is more popular in the US simply because they got more of it back in the day, which caused more people to go, look it up on the internet, get into more anime, and because pretty much that they just have more, and so the market's bigger, really. So it'd be nice if we could get more anime on television here to, increase the popularity a bit. But
it's that catch-22 where, like, well, if they think there's not hardly any audience, they're not going to bother showing it. But if they don't show it, the audience isn't going to get bigger, is it? So it's
exactly,
like that, it's that vicious cycle sort of thing going on.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we have recently got Dragon Ball Kai is now airing on TV in the UK, but it's on a channel called Kix, which I believe is like Sky only or something. It's a really small channel, and generally the stuff they air on there is like stuff that you'll vaguely remember from CBBC back in 2002 that no one would ever talk about, so it's obviously very cheap licenses they're picking up. And of course they've got Dragon Ball in there, which in my opinion is gold, sitting amongst all this other crap. And it just so I mean, if there's going to be things on smaller channels like that, I don't think they're going to be able to pick up much popularity. But if it were to get on, say, Cartoon Network or Nicktoons, then, we could see things picking up.
The mainstream ones. But, like, I guess, I suppose, like, the main... Well, Cartoon Network and, like, Nickelodeon stuff are more concerned about, like, building up their own properties rather than, like, outsourcing as much as they used to. Because I think they're probably feeling the pinch of it with... with more Western cartoons like taking precedence over like the imported stuff. That's a theory. I'm not.
Yeah, I mean,
if I'm wrong on that.
To be honest, Cartoon Network and Nicktoons don't even care about, or Nickelodeon as a whole don't even care about cartoons that much anymore. It's all these live action, like pre-teen drama things they like to show now. Because
I can't really comment on that because I haven't we haven't had like satellite for years. I don't know what the state of Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon is at the moment. I tend to I've only seen it like I'm on about like early 2000s or pre-2000 around that period when they still actually had decent content to show. But now it's more. It's like they've gone the way of MTV, I suppose. It's more
Yeah,
reality
that's
TV
about
show
right,
sort
actually,
of things.
I mean, there's one or two good shows still on Cartoon Network. Regular Show, for example, is one that I absolutely love, and the Blu-ray's coming out in America next month, I think, and it turns out it's region free, so I'm going to be importing that ASAP.
Oh, that's good.
So that'd be brilliant. Yeah. So yeah, but aside from that, like Adventure Time and Regular Show are generally the big two on Cartoon Network that are still actually good.
Mm-hmm.
So
Adventure Time's brilliant. I'm quite fond of Adventure Time. Yeah, quite crazy.
I'm not as big a fan as everyone else, but Regular Show, I love Regular Show. So.
I haven't seen that.
That's really good.
Because I only tend to like if people talk about a program an awful lot, I tend to I download like an episode or two just to try it. But most of the time, I don't really sample much of the new stuff really these days. Because I'm stuck in like a nostalgic bubble. Like I'm trying to track down half of the stuff I used to vaguely remember, see if you can get them on DVD or Blu-ray, and then because you can always talk about DVDs and Blu-rays for hours. Because a lot of people, when publishers release or localize animes on DVD or Blu-ray, are problems like cropping and stuff like that common on a lot of the releases, or is it just one or two that have problems like that?
It's not too common, really. I mean, it was really just that one. I mean, I'm sure you've heard me talk about a million times, but the one problem, the original Dragon Ball Z sets, or not the original, sorry, but the relatively recent one, and sadly still the most widely available one, is
the inferior one. Yeah,
it's the inferior one, and kind of worryingly, actually, Funimation put out a survey recently. They're planning to re-release Dragon Ball Z yet again on Blu-ray for about the umpteenth time.
Are they actually going to finish it?
Yeah,
or they got like to about volume 3, didn't they? And then they stopped.
It was volume 2, I think. And they got there and they realised that. I mean, to be honest, the video quality from what I hear was absolutely brilliant on them, so that was great. But apparently the remastering process was just too expensive for them, so it's a shame they had to stop. But apparently now they're trying again. And it's going to be divided up the same way those bad sets, just in terms of episode divisions. So there's nothing wrong there. But the problem is, in the survey they asked, would you like to see it in 4:3 or 16:9? And I thought, why would you even ask that after what happened last time? I
think it's the biggest problem is like a lot of these people who like anime, take part in these surveys don't understand the concept of like how to remaster a property properly, and like, it's not just with animes. Like the other day, I was tracking down the World at War documentary, which is a fantastic documentary that they made in like the 70s and 80s. I think. They went through all that trouble of like remastering all the original film, cinefilm reels, and like to make it look as clean as it possibly can be.
Yeah,
done an excellent job, but they've cropped it. So it was originally in 4:3, and now they've cropped like about 20% off the top and the bottom, so it stretches properly to 16:9, which is the. It's an utter shame because like I've been reading reviews of it, and like that's so what I'm gonna have to do is like track down like an older 4:3 DVD release of it. But like that, it's just a lot of people. I think the problem is a lot of people. I've got why would I want 4:3? I've got a widescreen. Nobody has 4:3 televisions anymore. The problem is like, but okay, you got something that was filmed in like the 60s or 70s. It was filmed in 4:3. I want it to look. I want the whole screen to be filled. So how do you do it? So the best way to do it is to crop the footage so it doesn't look strange when like you stretch it full term. But but it's always like, why just show it as it was? Don't do anything to the original.
It's a real shame too, because I mean people can just hit zoom on their remote if they really need the
or stretch. The TV does it for you.
Yeah, I mean, but they feel the need to do it for the consumer, thus ruining for everyone else who wanted to see it originally in the process.
Like the purists who want to see it as it was.
Yeah, exactly.
Which it's always a shame. So it's not a common problem, you say, on these DVDs?
I wouldn't say too much, but there was one recently, Bakuman, which is that's a long story, but it was released on DVD recently, and I was planning to pick it up, but apparently the subtitles on it are really bad. I mean, I don't see that happening too often, but there's often small problems like this that'll add up. So I mean, I wouldn't say it's that common. No more common than problems on regular DVDs or Blu-rays, really.
Yeah, it's just, you know, when I like to buy a series, I like to have everything as it was. I don't, and I expect like even more annoying when like they cut certain episodes, or
Yeah.
you know, like censorship reasons. Another thing, censorship, is that another major problem when stuff gets released on DVD, or is that less of a problem? Is that more?
That's really a thing of the past nowadays. But once again, with Dragon Ball Z, Funimation are essentially trying to go for nostalgia this time. They're releasing the first 53 episodes, which was something like 100 originally, but they butchered it down to 53, in the original dub that they did for the very first time when it aired on TV, and they're aiming strictly for nostalgia. And it just seems so backwards that, you know, for such a long time, people were campaigning to get uncut releases, and now they're going to go ahead and buy this, or at least they think people are going to go ahead and buy this, you know, cut release. Which just doesn't make any sense, you know. But nowadays, censorship on DVDs just isn't a problem anymore. It used to happen in the early 2000s, late 90s, but not anymore.
It's because, so, yeah. Like, I guess, like, because of constant campaigning and like, and with DVDs, people like publishers are not subject to like the restrictions you get on like on afternoon television. Like with a lot of animes, you know, we're like with, I suppose, like with content that's like questionable for like young kids who may be watching it in like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah. They have to like make changes for the Western releases or television releases. Like what with Yu-Gi-Oh had several cuts to it because of
it did, yeah.
Like some of the characters had guns. They took some of them out and replaced them with like mallets and stuff. That's just an example I've come across. But
it's great if you read the. I've got the manga for Yu-Gi-Oh actually, and you sit there and read that, and it's completely different, you know.
Completely different feel, isn't it?
Yeah, you got swearing every other page and all that sort of thing. So, you know, a very different feeling to what 4Kids did with the anime.
Yeah, it's because you got it's they're trying to change like the market that it was originally designed for, I suppose. And you get like when you like look back at the original releases of things, you see drastic differences between the two, don't you? It's quite interesting to look at, but like when do you tend to buy, like when you buy an anime, do you tend to like buy it on DVD from America, or do you try and buy it from the UK publishers if you can? Or?
Well, yeah, when possible. If it's been released in the UK, I tend to go for the UK release, simply just to support the industry. But you know, if it hasn't been released or the UK release is, you know, bad for whatever reason, I won't see any problem importing it, because I've got myself a good region 3 DVD player now. It's just Blu-rays which are the problem. I mean, as you'd probably know, most Blu-rays are region 3 now, but for anime they're region locked, because I believe you know, they realised that in other countries, if everyone to import their Blu-rays, you know, from America, the local, you know, market for anime Blu-rays wouldn't be doing very well at all. So it's a shame, but most anime Blu-rays are region locked. So when it comes to Blu-rays, I generally have to wait for them to be released in the UK. But for DVDs, I mean, if they're good, they're in the US first, or if they're better than the UK release, I'll generally import
Which
them.
is I think that it tends to, like the American like NTSC releases of things tends to be a lot better than like the PAL releases of things. Well, it certainly used to be anyway a few years ago. Like with we've talked about this before, but like a lot of the cartoons that I like that you can get on DVD, well, you can get like the big ones like Looney Tunes and stuff like that on DVD, no problem over here. But like a lot of the stuff like from Cartoon Network especially and Nickelodeon, like the good stuff, like about 80 or 90% of the stuff that ever gets released in the UK, or at least only like the first 2 volumes get released over here, and then they don't bother anymore.
Yeah, that's a comparison with anime, you know, regular cartoon releases. That at least, I mean, anime releases seem to be somewhat more organised. You'll rarely get a release where there's a chunk of episodes missing or something, but then cartoons, they'll be like, alright, so you've got these episodes from this season, but not that one, or that one's on this season set for some reason.
Yeah, they go through volumes, which is annoying, some of them do. And you find like one volume is really rare to get a hold of. I was like, I need that.
Yeah, that specific
collection.
one. Why is that so rare? Yeah.
Like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, especially. Some of the volumes ridiculous to get a hold of. So you end up having to buy the big box set anyway. So it's but at least you can get them, and Amazon are like pretty good with that. Like usually, is that the place where you get most of your DVDs from, Amazon, or is there any other sites that you use?
Yeah, generally Amazon is okay. But for some American stuff, you might have to scour the internet a bit. I mean, occasionally even going to eBay if you're looking for used stuff. That's generally good for finding, you know, American releases, but from the UK, because other people might have already done the job of importing them.
Yeah,
So,
if you can save on the import taxes and stuff, it's. I'm just trying to work out how much it was. It's, I think, if it's under $25, I think you don't pay tax on it. I think. I have to double check on that, but if like your package is worth over a certain amount, you're subject to import taxes. So do bear that in mind if any of you are interested in like importing some releases from Amazon, because you do get once you've paid like the shipping fee and stuff, which is pretty good actually, because the pound is quite strong at the moment. Versus the dollar, it's pretty good in our favour. But you tend
like
to
64 pence to the dollar or something, isn't it?
It's for every pound we get like $1.50 or thereabouts. So we do see it's in our favour at the moment. I remember a time when it used to be $2. So but that was back in early 2000. We don't think we're ever going to get that high again. It's just it tends to be the import taxes. Because like when it comes through customs, they put like a tax on it, and then like the shipping company, usually like it's UPS or FedEx, they pay the fee for you, and then you've got to pay FedEx or UPS or whoever it is delivering the parcel to you the commission that they paid on your behalf. So it's usually pretty good though. But you just bear that in mind. The bigger the package, the more you pay. Yeah. So like with Animaniacs, I'm trying to get that. See if I can actually get it a copy from over here. See if I can say. Yeah. But I think that they have reduced it finally on Amazon. So most of the volumes are now a lot cheaper. They're like about less than $20 now. They used to be like about $40 or $50 now. So if you're interested in that, then. But yeah. But with Blu-ray releases. When I'm just trying to put it into words. It's just a lot of stuff to say. When a property is released on Blu-ray, do you get the sort of same problems that you sometimes get with DVDs, or is Blu-ray generally the better format when you buy animes?
Yeah, to be honest, off the top of my head, I can't think of any Blu-rays that have really had, the same sort of problems that DVDs have. But at the end of the day, really, these decisions just come from the companies making them. So, I mean, you still got to stay vigilant. I don't see why the widescreen cropping problems, that sort things in that sort of manner couldn't happen on Blu-ray. I mean, obviously, I don't want them to, but
they have to put more work into it to justify the Blu-ray release, don't they? Because they have to. Well, it depends on the anime, but like they have to like clean up the original negatives and whatever, and upscale it correctly and make sure. Well, it depends on how strenuous or how far they want to go with the remastering treatment. Some of the box sets you can get are amazing and stuff of certain things, but you really have to pay attention. To would you recommend like people to look at the reviews and stuff?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, before you buy any box set, definitely. Because I mean, it's even worse when there are releases out there that are fine, and then there's ones that aren't fine, and they look like they're the same box or something. Cause, I mean, I believe I've seen that happen. I mean, it happens more commonly in manga actually. There's printings of some stuff that's just sometimes rare. Like there's printings of some manga, they look the same on the outside. There's no different in the edition, but there'll be more censorship in just one batch of printings than there is in another one or something, for example. So yeah, you really have to look out. I mean, you less have to look out for that sort of thing on DVD and Blu-ray, but in manga definitely. But yeah, either way, definitely read reviews or just look up the box set you're buying beforehand.
Yeah, it's because you have to make sure like if there's like any cropping problems or anything missing or stuff like that. It's always a good technique. Like that's what Ben always says to me. Like before you buy anything, double check. Double check like if there are any episodes missing. Like with for example, the example I can think off the top of my head. Like one of the South Park season box sets has got like an episode missing. It was the Tom Cruise episode, I think. At least one of the Tom Cruise episodes, and he complained about it, and like they had to remove it from the UK release. I think it is in the American release, but even then, that episode is actually cut. So, so you can't really win either way. So if you want like at least a version of it, you're gonna have to import. I think is it season 10? I can't remember, but it's definitely one of the later ones anyway. So he's drilled it into my mind. Like read the reviews. Look if it's any good or not, or see if the American counterpart is actually better than like the one you can get in the UK, because usually it is when it comes to cartoons and whatnot. I'm just trying to think. But yeah, that's the when it comes to physical releases, you've got to look carefully, like if there's any problems with them. I'm just trying to. But yeah. Another thing I wanted to ask you is, do you think physical copies of like Blu-rays and DVDs will become a thing of the past when it comes to anime? Do you think like companies will actually prefer to start releasing things like digitally only as opposed to DVDs? What do you think on that?
I can see for maybe smaller licenses that that aren't big enough to warrant a physical release. Maybe they'd be, put onto streaming sites such as Netflix or something, like only if they're really that small. But I definitely think physical releases will continue with anime because with anime there's very much a sort of collecting sort of culture around it. So
Right.
People. I think there's always going to be a market for people who want a physical release of something, especially like big sort of fancy pantsy ones like the Dragon boxes, like what I have for example for Dragon Ball Z. So if it's a big series, then yeah, I think there is always going to be a market for physical releases, like special edition ones and that sort of thing. But I don't see why digital distribution couldn't be pushed more in anime. I mean, we've already got streaming sites for things like Crunchyroll, which is essentially Netflix for anime. You pay £5 a month, and it's generally pretty good because you'll get episodes out and subtitled like about an hour or so after they air in Japan, which is really really good and definitely worth £5 a month. And you get lots of other series on the backlog as well that you can just sit and watch. So there is sort of digital stuff like that, but if you're talking buying digital things, for example, off things like iTunes. I haven't seen much of it, but I don't see why it couldn't happen, especially for smaller series.
Like
so,
to
yeah.
supplement the DVD releases as well, because you don't
Yeah.
you don't see it very often, do you? Like for animes, you have to either like download them or download them illegally most of the time because a lot of the stuff you can't, are not available through the normal distribution sites or what have you. But you pay quite a lot for. You say like the anime culture has got like sort of a collectible sort of nature about them, I guess. Like you spent quite a lot on your Dragon boxes, didn't you?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Because that is the Dragon Ball Z DVD. Is it Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball? Is it?
It's Dragon Ball Z for the Dragon boxes.
Dragon Ball Z series. Like was that the original DVD release, or is that
Actually, no. It was a newer one, but essentially the first mention of like Dragon boxes. If you go back to 2003, that was the first and only release of Dragon Ball Z in Japan until they divided them up into some smaller single sets, which if you can collect about 80 of them, then you can have the entire series. But
cost really expensive doing it like that.
Yeah, but so essentially, and then for most people that was like the holy grail for Dragon Ball. Like it came to the big like booklet. You've got a limited edition figure in every one. You've got all the episodes, and it was just like the best sort of release there ever was. And then obviously obviously in America they had the original single sets that came out around the time the show was still airing. They were just there pretty much to make a quick buck on the side. Then we had these season sets, which are the awful ones that cropped into widescreen. And then we had the Dragon Box released. But the only reason that Toei, who created the Dragon Boxes, gave Funimation the right to actually make them was if it was a limited edition release. Now that's the reason I paid so much for them, because they're all out of print now.
Yeah, as is the
And
way.
it's just-
Like, why don't you make it a mainstream release?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just because Toei were very, very reluctant to get the Dragon Boxes outside. So, props to Funimation for actually managing to make it happen, even if it was a limited edition release. But at the moment, there is no non-limited edition release that is, good. That has the entirety of Dragon Ball Z.
Because most of the other ones have problems. The biggest problem is like the cropping. So like your set is like uncropped as it was.
Yeah, pretty much my set, the complete Dragon Box set is perfect. I couldn't ask for anything better. It's about as good as it's going to get really for Dragon Ball Z.
Well, if you can actually track down a set for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really kicking myself for not doing it earlier, because I was umming and ahhing about it about a year before I actually started collecting them, and then I finally bit the bullet and went for it, and I don't regret it one bit. So yeah, honestly, if you're listening to this and hunt Dragon Boxes, close the video and go now.
Try and track. They're probably about like £50. How many volumes are there in the set?
There's 7 all in all.
So are they about like 50 quid a piece? I mean, is that about the price you're going to have to pay for it?
It really varies. I mean, like, Volume 1 was relatively cheap. It was about 30 quid till recently. Now it's around the 100 quid mark. Yeah. Now, Volume 2 is the infamous one. Because that, for about a year and a bit now, has been, you know, from anywhere between 200 and 400 quid, which is absolutely ridiculous. But I managed to get a good deal on mine. It's not in the best condition, but the point is...
At least the discs work. And...
Yeah, at least the discs work. I managed to get mine for about 100 and something quid. You know...
Crikey.
Yeah, so, but it gets better, because, I mean, Box 3 is, you know, jumping around a bit. Occasionally you'll see it for around 30 quid if you're lucky, but it's roughly 60 or 70 now. Box 4 is rarer than Box 3, but not as rare as Box 1 or 2, so that's about 100 quid, sometimes 50. You know, I got mine for about 60, I think. And then, to be honest, after that, you're in the clear, because, I mean, last time I checked, 5, 6, and 7 are still only 30 quid a pop, and they're relatively in print, so, yeah, it's really the first 4 that are the problem.
So, how much on that are you going to spend? About like probably about 400 odd quid just to complete a set.
Yeah,
thereabouts. If my maths is up to scratch, but yeah, that's frightening amount of money.
Yeah, I did calculate how much I spent, and it was a frightening amount of money. I think it was about 350 quid or something. I can't remember, but all in all, in the end, it was worth it. I guess. I mean, it'd be nice if they weren't limited editions, so I only would have spent, you know, 30, 60, 90, 120, 150, 180, you know, around about 200 quid, but you can't win them all, so...
No, but at least you've actually got a set on your shelf, complete, and you've got the whole series to do whatever you want with, but, like, hold on to them, I bet, like, if you sell them all as a big box set, if you ever wanted to sell them.
Yeah.
Or if like a cheaper, a full box set, a good box set ever comes out, I don't know how likely that is. You can sell the old one
and get
for a big profit, and then still have the series, but like in a nice smaller, cheaper box set. Some series actually do get graced with like cheaper box sets every now and then. But it's just it's a frightening endeavour. Just these like.
Yeah, because I mean, once you bought one, you've committed to it.
You've committed to it. Like, I've got to get the rest of them now, but you can't get them straight away. You got to like bide your time and see if you get a deal. Like,
to be honest, I did it over a relatively short period of time. I mean, I had some money from relatives at Christmas, so I thought, right, I'm going to do it, and I bought Box 3 because I knew that was rare and I saw it for cheap. Oddly enough, it came from Germany. But it was only 25 quid as opposed to the 60 odd it was going for, so I went, right, bang on, get on that. So went that, and then, you know, from there I slowly collected the rest of them. The last ones obviously were 1 and 2, which I paid a little bit for, and my parents helped out with a bit for my birthday. So yeah, those were pretty much my only birthday presents, but that was fine. That's all I wanted.
Yeah, you got it all completed now.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, so all in all, it took about 4 months, 5 months collecting, 4 or 5 months. But, you know, I think it was worth it in the end, so, yeah.
Yeah, crikey. I would probably... That's why when I'm looking for a cartoon, I'm really reluctant to commit to anything. I like to think, like, are they actually readily available? Am I able to get them within a reasonable price tag and stuff? And like, you know, you got, when you're importing stuff especially, you got to think carefully of like how much you want to spend on them, because it easily stacks up if you buy a load of DVDs that you like, and you really got to think carefully with those. But yeah, so my advice to everyone is like, try not to break the bank if you can. Like, you know, if you've got like an income, then fine, but you know, like if you're on job seekers or something, really be careful with your money and stuff, you know. When it comes to these releases and what have you, because it's frightening amount. That's a frightening amount of money. 400 quid on a DVD box set. I wouldn't probably commit to that. I think no, I'll get something else.
I think it was worth it in the end, because essentially Dragon Ball was my favourite series of anything ever. So, you know, it was worth it, and I've got the best releases ever come out outside of Japan. So, you know, I'm happy with it in the end, but it was, I still think I spent more than I should have done.
Well, you know? Yeah, but like, you know, you've got it now, it's in your collection, and you can, rip the DVDs to your hard drive and then watch them whenever you want then, if you ever wanted to do that. But yeah, right, I think we've gone a little sidetracked a little bit, but like, it's always an interesting discussion talking about DVDs and what have you. So we'll go back to the YouTube channel then. So have you had any bad experiences with actually releasing any particular videos on the internet? Anything that stands up to you in your mind?
You mean like just it was controversial, or people
Well,
didn't like it,
just
or
in general, yeah, anything like that, anything that really sticks out.
generally not really, to be honest. I mean, I haven't really hit. I can feel one looming. I can feel like I'm gonna have a bad experience with someone on the internet eventually. I think I think it's inevitable, but. Really so far, I mean, aside from people saying, "Oh, I don't really agree with this," I haven't really had anything bad happen. There's been no drama, as people like to call it in the anime community.
Like when you get like I suppose notable. We won't name any, of course, like because that's unprofessional. But like you do get with people who like I suppose like that think they're high and mighty and they like to stir up with other fans of the anime culture. And I did mention it a little bit. I could have went into a little bit more detail actually with the fan culture video, but I have talked about it before. But you do get people who deliberately like to stir up people, like for having different tastes in anime. And you say you haven't come across any of that sort of thing on your channel?
Not really. I mean, in comments about people have disagreed with me, and I've countered their points of my own stuff and said, look, yeah, but I see where you're coming from, that kind of thing. But that's just a general discussion. No, proper arguments with people. To be honest, I mean, never to the point where I've had to make a video about it or even do a long angry comment or anything like that. So to be honest, yes, I know. I feel like it will happen eventually.
So you haven't got embroiled in like the One Piece versus Naruto thing going on, and can you just elaborate? Because I'm not particularly big on this. You've got the big three, and are these the big three cultures? I suppose you've got Naruto, you've got One Piece, and what's the other one? Bleach.
Yeah.
Those are the big three popular in the West at the moment. And a lot of people mock those fans for liking those series. Is it? Can you elaborate a little bit more about that? Are these series hated for a particular reason? Or?
I mean, they're not. I mean, they kind of frustrate people because they are the three biggest series, but they're most certainly not the best of anything. But each fan of their respective one will believe that this is the best over everything else. But then you'll generally check into how much anime that person's seen. They've generally seen that anime and two others, for example, the other two of the big three. So I don't generally like to get involved in the topic of it because everyone talks about it. So
it's pretty cliche.
It's pretty cliche, yeah. I mean, they're all ongoing, so there's lots of people. I mean, they're still fun to watch and read and that sort of thing. Well, specifically for me, I only watch One Piece or read One Piece. I don't go into the other two really. But yeah, they just. I mean, it's generally what sparks a lot of the big debates is people talking about these things. Dub versus sub is another big one. Not as big as it used to be. Mind you, but
dub titles versus subtitles. Is that it? Dub
title. Well, no, dub.
Sorry, dub.
Yeah,
not dub titles.
Dub.
No, that's not it.
So but yeah.
So where do you sit on that? Dub? Do you prefer dub or do you prefer sub? Or
it really varies from show to show, to be honest. Because I mean, there's some things like, for example, Dragon Ball. I can't stand it in English because when it was dubbed, it was literally it was a startup company that hired people off the street and it just wasn't professional, and people would defend it to the ends of the earth. Simply due to nostalgia, really, and due to the fact that apparently the main character Goku, everyone says his voice sounds all girly in Japanese because it was voiced by a woman, because they kept the same voice actor when he was a child. To be honest, it sticks to you eventually. I mean, it works really well, but no one's having any of that for the most part. So there are people, but then there are really fantastic dubs as well. For example, Cowboy Bebop, which I think is the best gateway anime, the best one to get people into anime. That has the best dub of anything ever, really. So honestly, it varies from show to show. When I get to a new show, I'll check out the dub and the Japanese and just see what I liked more, really.
So it varies depending on what show it is. As a general rule of thumb, our dubs tend to be pretty good, or is it a bit of hit and miss when it comes to localization of properties with dubs?
Well, as a rule of thumb, generally, if a dub is produced, more recently, it's going to be better. But there still are awful dubs being released. For example, 4Kids, who don't just dub shows; they entirely butcher them all together. They're just essentially they're different shows afterwards. But then people like Funimation who do good dubs. It really depends. I mean, there can be really good dubs. There can be meh dubs, and the dubs they did right back at the beginning are generally not very good, which people still defend them. I'm not quite sure why. But so yeah, there isn't really a general rule of thumb for it, but I guess there is. I guess the general rule of thumb is that the newer it is, the more likely it is going to be good. But I always like to have the Japanese as an option because I mean that was the way the show was intended to be seen, obviously. So yeah, very much it.
So it's one of those things where like you do your research and look at if you know look at the show beforehand and see like because some dubs are pretty good, some of them pretty awful.
Yeah,
And I guess like you know there's like dubs that are really bad, but you still like the show itself has like a charm to it. Like it's so bad it's good sort of thing. But I don't know whether if there's a show like that you like. I'm just that's just a theory.
Well, yeah, I guess some of 4Kids' older stuff, for example, Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh. You know, I can sit down. I mean, I guess it's nostalgia, but I can sit down and watch the dub for that. And I mean, I know it's awful, but you know, you can just sort of sit there and say.
I vaguely remember. I used to watch that all the time when it was on SMTV. But again, it was that problem where like they only showed like I think they started halfway through season 2 or something stupid. I can't remember years ago, and so we started at the wrong place, and they stopped halfway through when SMTV like the popularity, you know, the show didn't exist anymore. And that's the thing. There's tons of Pokemon box sets again. It's just do I really want to start collecting those?
Yeah, no, personally I wouldn't. It's odd because I believe Australia actually has the best release of Pokemon.
Yes, the Mad Men releases. They've released their release. Half of their releases are pretty good actually.
Mad Men, they do everything when it comes to anime. For example, the Orange Brick releases for Dragon Ball, the awful widescreen ones again. Well, they have Mad Men have a habit of just taking like after all season sets have been released, they have a habit of just taking all of them, and squishing them into one huge set which you can just plop down $200 Australian and buy. You know, and I mean, I guess I like that, but at the same time, I do like having a nice shelf full of different ones. But you know, I get they are pretty good for that. So you know,
it's like cost effective on your shelving and stuff. If you just want to, if you just want everything, but like you want to use less space, then those are the options for you. But some people prefer the individual releases where they sometimes come with like extras that you don't get in like the generalized box sets, I suppose. It's just Mad Men are pretty good with their releases actually. I'm just trying to think now. They've done quite a lot of stuff actually. They localised quite a lot of Western stuff and anime stuff as well. So I think that they did Card Captors years ago.
I wouldn't be surprised. I'm pretty sure they're the biggest they're
the biggest publisher in Australia, I think.
Australia,
when it comes to animes and cartoons and stuff, I think they're one of the biggest, if not the biggest, anyway.
Yeah, they're the only one I've heard of really in Australia. So
I can't think of another one anyway. But I'm not. Again, I'm not the guy to ask really. When it comes to animes. I was trying to think what else I was going to ask you, because I did have a couple more things. It's just like with so many things going on in my mind. It's just, this is how you not to do an interview, folks. It's just like might actually have some notes in front of you, and then you can check them off.
That could generally help for interviews,
especially when I like tend to. But we haven't done a second take on this, which is pretty good. I usually think, stop, that's a crap cut.
Normally we'll sit there and go, wait, no, start again.
No, start again. Forget it, it's crap. But yeah. Is there anything else that you want to add when it comes to animes that you want to discuss? Anything else?
I mean, not really. But the point is, if you're watching this and you want to get into anime, the first thing I recommend is Cowboy Bebop. Definitely, that's a really good show. That's pretty much all I want to say. Go watch that if you're interested in anime.
Why would you recommend that over anything else?
Well, because essentially, to be honest, it doesn't get... Well, I mean, a downside, actually, is it doesn't really get you into the mood of, anime, because it doesn't feel much like an anime. There's no huge facial expressions and the sweat drops and that sort of thing. So it's a nice way to sort of ease you into it. It has a really good English dub if you're, reluctant about watching things in Japanese first, because it can seem a little bit weird at first. So, there's that. And all in all, it's just a very, very good show. And on top of that, it's an episodic thing. It's not like... one continuous arc that you have to watch all the episodes. You can most of the time, unless it's a 2-part episode, you can just pick out an episode and watch it and enjoy it for what it is. You don't have to know the series history from way back, and it's a short thing. All in all, it's only 26 episodes, I believe. So yeah, that's why I'd recommend that as the first anime.
Cool, because I think a lot of people on my channel won't know what anime off the stuff is. It's probably like people who watch me tend to be more gaming related more so than anime sort of inclined. But that's they're re-releasing it on DVD over here, aren't they?
And Blu-ray actually, and we're getting that as something we're getting before America for once. Is the Blu-ray, because the only other place that has that is Japan. So I'm going to be picking that up, even though I have actually got the DVDs already signed by the series series director, which is amazing.
Oh, that's pretty cool. You went to was that at the MCM Expo? That you got signed?
Yeah, I'm really happy I have that. It's brilliant, sitting up there on my shelf. I mean, I sometimes think in the back of my mind, I could sell that for about 100 quid, but I'm not going to do it.
I wouldn't. Well, is it signed to you, or has it just got his signature on it?
It's just got his signature.
Oh, that's worth even more then. So
Yeah.
it's signed to anybody. Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'd have it like in a fireproof box or something. I wouldn't have it on the shelf. I'd keep it protected because it's valuable.
Yeah. But yeah, I am going to be picking up the Blu-ray for that when that comes out next month. End of next month, I believe, is the first one. It's kind of weird they're splitting it into two, but I believe it's so they can get more sort of the bonus content, in there while keeping both at an affordable price. So
it makes sense. Yeah, if it don't mind if it's as long as it's all together. Because they did release it originally on DVD, but then it went out of print, didn't it, for a while? Didn't it, Cowboy Bebop?
Yeah, Cowboy Bebop just I think generally is out of print at the moment. I mean, I got my one for about 30 or 40 quid, I think, which isn't too bad, considering that mainly went for about 60, the set I bought. So, that's not... Yeah, so that went pretty well. But yeah, it is generally out of print at the moment.
And they're releasing it... Is it September they're re-releasing that? I can't remember now. I did look it up.
The first part is end of July, and the second part is in September, yeah.
Okay, cool stuff. It's just a few more questions on the YouTube side of things. Is there any particular video that you like making the most over anything else? Like any particular type of video? Do you prefer to do reviews? Do you prefer to do commentaries on animes? What's your particular favourite sort of thing when you make videos on YouTube?
Well, I do like doing reviews. I mean, sitting down and editing them isn't always that fun, but the end product, you sit back and think, oh yeah, I've done a good job on that, so that's pretty good. I do like doing collab stuff, just getting other people on my channel doing thoughts on various things. Like, for example, when that new Dragon Ball Z release, I recently got Chris and Adam, or Neo GameSpark and Crazy Black Man 108. You might know Neo GameSpark because I believe he's been some gameplay videos on this channel as well. So I do like doing that just to get other people's opinions on things as well. But at the same time, I feel like, I could put more work into this myself. Other than just throwing up a Skype call, recording us talking about something, So, I mean, there are other things I'd like to get into more. Because, I mean, reviews and, discussions and occasionally me sitting there just talking about some news that's happened is generally all I do at the moment. So I really want to come up with something new that I can... start doing.
It's just like it takes dedication though. You got to pick what you want to go on with. Like with Let's Plays, for example.
Let's Plays are pretty stressful sometimes.
Half of mine. A lot of people know this already. Like half of mine are unfinished.
Yeah, no, mine is. I really thought I'd commit myself to the Super Mario World one. 4 episodes in, I don't want to play.
You haven't done it. I think that what I'm going to do, especially me, what I'm going to do is. When I do a new Let's Play or whatever, I'll make sure I've recorded everything before I start releasing the episodes. That way, you've got a complete set.
I think maybe one day in the summer days I'll literally just clear out an entire day and play Super Mario World start to finish.
We need to do multiplayer on that. We have managed to get the multiplayer emulator working, which is awesome. It worked pretty well, didn't it?
It did, yeah. I was surprised. I figured we'd get lag and disconnecting and everything, but it worked pretty well.
It worked pretty well, considering it didn't have an online mode originally. I don't know how they did it, but it's quite clever how they've managed to. But we should not talk about that. It's like emulation and wizardry and all that.
No, yes.
But
never dream of emulating, of course.
Maybe we can do a multiplayer. We can do Super Mario World together, like in one afternoon, and then bang out a Let's Play, and then release it a bit at a time.
Yeah, that could definitely be fun.
We'll get that arranged at some point once we've got like a free day or whatever. Or it doesn't have to be all day, does it? You can actually save it. Can you actually save it? And then come back to it another day. I can't remember.
Well, we can check because we did save. We supposedly saved when we did.
And then not somebody else joined in the game off.
Oh yeah.
So what? Get out of my game.
Get out of here.
Get out.
Yeah. But yeah, that would be very fun if we could do that.
It's pretty cool. Maybe we can do like a tutorial on how to do that. But we'll get some more Let's Plays out to you guys when it comes to those things. But But yeah, I don't think I've got. I think I've ran out of things to say, really.
Yeah.
I think I've asked everything I wanted to ask you about your channel and stuff. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show.
Oh, thank you very much.
Is there anything else that you want to tell the subscribers out there before we wrap this up? Because I think that's everything, really.
I could go into a little bit. I mean, I don't think I'm the best person to talk to about this, but I'd go into a little bit about what you should do if you're trying to start out on YouTube.
Oh yes, that's another. Yes, okay, yes, do that.
Okay, yeah. So really, the first thing is I think you should have in mind exactly what your channel's going to be about. I mean, if you're just going to throw up any random stuff there, I'm not sure people, subscribers going to stick. So they might like some of your content, they might not like some of your other content, So generally, I'd say, find one or two topics on your channel and, make sure it's going to be about that. If you're going into like design aspects of your channel, for example, your display picture, your channel artwork, I believe the new YouTube thing has, I'd say try and keep it all in sync, try and have one style, a couple of colours that, represent you sort of. 'Cause, I mean, that's something I notice a lot of big anime YouTubers don't do, is their sort of styles and their channels all over the place. They don't really have one unified. I think if you have one unified style over all your sort of your products and stuff,
yeah, that's the problem I have, really, because I haven't really committed to a particular style or type of video. I do all sorts of gubbins and my subscriber base is all over the place.
Yeah.
It's so you think like picking one or two consistent videos is better than actually doing a whole range of things?
Yeah, maybe even if you're like, if you've got a couple of topics that aren't too related, and like, for example, anime and games go relatively hand in hand. I mean, a lot of people enjoy both of them. So, but if you've got like two topics that are completely off of each other, maybe if you start two channels, relatively try and go with each one, and then maybe if one gets more popular than the other, you can focus more of your time onto that one. If that's what's more fun to make and more people seem to be enjoying. So yeah, I guess you could do that if you really. I mean, I haven't tried that, out in practice, but that could work fairly well.
Yeah. I think that's good advice actually, because with my channel when I used to, I'm still going through that transitional period, like just experimenting with like let's plays and vlogs and podcasts. I don't really have a consistent style. I don't know what I once joked that my channel, I have no idea what my channel is about, because it's about me. That's as vague as it gets.
Yeah.
What are you about? I don't know. It's a bit of this, a bit of that, bits and pieces, bit of everything.
Yeah.
But so it's like the jack of all trades, master of F all. That's the
yes.
So that's why loads of other people are more popular than me. That's why. But I'm more. I guess I'm stuck in my ways when it comes to that, really.
You're better than me anyway. I've only got 46 subscribers.
That's kind of you to say. I'll disagree with you on that one.
All right.
You deliver yourself better than I do. I slip up. It's like that. I slip
like
up. Like I do. Screw up the commentaries an awful. I'm better than I'm much better than I was, but I'm still working out the kinks here and there. When it comes to these things,
that's really a problem I find doing a single player let's play. So I'll sit there and just run out of things to say.
That is another difficult thing. If you're thinking about doing, you just gotta like, some people it comes natural to them. They just like ramble on about like what's going on, and maybe like if there's a lull, they just bring in like an anecdote from something that's completely unrelated and still make it fit into the narrative.
If you watch Game Grumps, they'll just start an episode, start talking about some completely unrelated topic,
and then it's still compelling to watch somehow. Even though
to be honest, they have an advantage because there's two people, but
oh yeah, it's easy when you got someone else to play off, and they're both really funny, and they're both voice actors, and they're both animators, aren't they? Or is it just Ego Raptor?
I think it's just Aaron.
Aaron Hansen and John. What's his second name?
John Jafari. Yeah.
That's him. Yeah.
I'd love to meet those guys one day.
At some point, but I wouldn't know what to say to them. I like your videos.
Ah, yeah.
Probably think, yeah, fine, I get that an awful lot, but yeah. It's just when I suppose like the best thing to do if you're trying to do a let's play is I guess like try watch what other people are doing and see how they do it, and you gotta try and blaze your own trail. Really, not saying like copy somebody else like for like. You've got to put your own like stamp on it, I suppose.
Yeah, you got to give your own sort of signature and make sure that people actually like that as well.
Yeah, that's something I'm still grappling with myself. Like I'm getting slowly better at it, but there's still a lot of problems. And personally, it's not just when I'm doing commentaries and stuff I have problems with. It's mainly technical problems, like I forgot to adjust the audio properly. Or like with my Theme Hospital Let's Play, like about parts 6, 7 and 8, you can't hear me because the music's too loud.
That actually happened to me with some old Let's Plays of a game called Knit Stories I did with some friends. The music is just...
And because the audio's encoded into the video, I completely forgot to have the audio separate, recorded separate from the actual video itself. So in that situation, when you record the audio feed and the video feed separate, you can adjust them manually to fit how you want it. But if you do it together, you got to make sure that your levels are perfect. Otherwise, you cannot change it.
Yeah, it's like another thing is just trying to. Yeah, no, I mean, I don't like to force humour into my videos. I don't often very much, but with Let's Plays, it gets pretty dark if you're just boring if you're not at least a little bit funny.
Hey, I am Super Mario, finding coins, blah blah blah, jumping over the hole, jump on his head, you're dead. There, it's just you got to find a rhythm. It's difficult to explain when we're not actually doing one, but it depends on what's happening on the screen.
Yeah, it really does.
And what sort of game it is,
the best moments come from the unexpected stuff.
When the game starts to kick your ass, like when I was doing when I popped my partial XCOM Let's Play, when I completely got crushed, and half of my... You died on day 1, I think. I made you as a soldier. Chris died. Jamie, I spelled his name wrong. He survived though. Just about. I can't remember now.
Oh, was that? Oh no, it was SimCity. We had Tashvinville, wasn't it?
Yeah, Tashvinville. Yeah, I haven't played that in ages. Tashvinville. That's the biggest thing. You got to make it funny. You got to commit to it.
But also at the same time, you don't want to make it forced.
And you don't want to force yourself, because half the time, when I've got to do a Let's Play today, and half the time you think, I don't feel like playing it today. That's another problem you got to contend with. You got to maybe you can do multiple Let's Plays at once, together. Today I'll do Star Fox, another day I'll do SimCity, another day I'll do Uncharted or whatever it is.
That's a really big tip with Let's Plays. Point is, record in bulk. When you feel like playing, record a bunch of parts, and you have content for the next week or so.
Yeah, spread it out gradually.
Yeah, don't record one episode. You're still eager to play. Say no, I'll do it tomorrow, because you can get there tomorrow and just be like, I don't want to play this, and then you haven't got an episode for that day. So it's really good to have a backlog of episodes you can upload. And on top of that means when you go away or something, you can have stuff upload. There is a way you can do it. You can upload them all to YouTube, keep them on private, and then when you're away, if you can at least get on your YouTube channel somehow through a 3G or wherever it is, you can just mark it as public, and then for that day, and then that'll work.
Yeah, you can do it that way. Or if you got decent broadband, you can just use FTP or because I upload to Blip TV as well. What I do is put them all together in bulk and I can upload them all 3 episodes in 10 minutes all at once.
Yeah.
And then release them one at a time, by transition, telling Blip to send them all to YouTubers. It's just funny because we're saying all this advice, but we don't follow it ourselves.
We don't follow it. Yeah, no, we don't.
We don't. Do as we. What's the phrase? Do as we say, not as we do. Is that the phrase?
I'm not sure, but
do as I say, not as I do, or something like that. Anyway.
Yeah.
Learn from us because we're making all the mistakes. We're highlighting all the not the plot holes. That's not a story. The pitfalls. That's the phrase. Yeah, the pitfalls, not plot holes. We're not a story. This is the great narrative that is life.
It's the great narrative of YouTubers.
The great YouTube narrative, and we're creating a historical document of these. When we were all gone, will all these videos still exist in the internet?
People
somewhere?
look back and say, "Oh, this is how to not do it."
There's a guy called Caleb. He used to. Not much is known about him. All the only record we've got of him is this really old podcast with some guy called John Petford or something. Nobody knows who he is. But that's what we're doing. That's why I'm making these videos, just to create a digital footprint so people. But then, I don't know. Do I want to be remembered? I keep contradicting myself here. I don't. Years down the line, I don't want to be remembered. I take all my videos off.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I really do YouTube videos just because it's a laugh.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the crucial thing. When you're making YouTube videos, just make it. If you're not having fun making videos, then there's not much point in doing it. And another thing is don't get into making videos because just for the idea of making money, because most people don't make
Yeah,
it
no,
on
you're
YouTube.
not gonna. You can't go into it with that mindset.
It's especially considering it's very difficult to actually get recognised as a partner. I've done videos like this years ago, like YouTube flaws and stuff. It's still relevant today, really.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to get a partner. You got to build up a fan base, and you got to be consistently funny and stuff. A lot of that's why I tend to stay away from the vast majority of partners, because I don't think they're that compelling. I don't know.
Yeah.
But they somehow are really popular, and I guess they got in somehow because of they had loads of money to begin with, and because they're able to invest it, they got the returns quicker. But it's difficult to get noticed. That's the biggest problem. You just make videos for a laugh and keep at it, and eventually you will get a subscriber base.
You can meet people you just meet people through YouTube. For example, if I hadn't started watching Chris's videos, I never would have met any of you guys.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like a little network. I'm trying to remember the continuity of things. Like first I met BDT. He's the first one. BDT87. He's the one who first got into contact with me on Skype, and then I think after that it was Tashfin. Which became us three are like the main podcast crew, and then after that it was I think it was Chris was it Chris before Tashvin? But it's pretty close time frame, and then after that it was you and a few of the others as well. After that, and then you get these friendships going, and then once you got these friendships going, you can do collabs and make even more videos, and the rewards are there, but they're not necessarily monetary ones.
I'm just thinking, I believe it for me, because I started watching Chris's videos just because I was new to anime, and he jumped out, and I can't remember when I started watching Chris's videos, but I watched him for a while, and then eventually he started doing live streams, and I got to know him fairly well through live streams and a little bit through Twitter as well. And then, of course, James Hansen, who you guys might know if you're in the anime community as well, knew Chris relatively well. And eventually I met up with him at MCM Expo. I got his Skype there. And then I just met all of you guys through Hansen, essentially, to Chris, to just everyone. And then now I'm here doing a video with James
me.
person.
I think, but Chris is because he's the biggest out of us. I think he's the nucleus of this whole arrangement, I guess.
Yeah.
Because he's got I'm trying to think now. It was the first. I think it was he watched my videos first than the other way around, which is quite quite rare. When it tends to be the smaller YouTuber discovers the bigger YouTuber rather than the bigger YouTuber discovers the smaller YouTuber, as it was in my case. But he found me through the YouTube flaws videos that I did, and he really. I'm quite flattered. He praised my writing and how I writ them and how many episodes I knocked out and stuff. I was quite flattered with that, actually, because it wasn't. I knocked him out pretty quickly, actually. Those videos.
It's funny, really, because
then he subscribed to me. So
it's funny, really, because when I first saw Chris, he was just another YouTube celebrity almost.
He is compared to us.
Yeah, I just thought, I'm never going to meet this guy. I'm never going to talk to him. He's got 20,000 subs, and then now suddenly we're best mates. So it's really weird.
It's quite nice, isn't it? To have quite a largest YouTuber in our ranks, I suppose, and willing to do collaborations with us every now and then. Because I did do an interview with him in the series. Feel free to check it out, guys, if you want. It's available on YouTube still, under the podcast available as well. Talking about similar things and stuff, but it's quite strange. But that's one of the biggest things about YouTube is you get to meet people, and if you stick out, if you're good at your craft, people will notice you. It might take time. At least in initial stages, even just to get 200 subscribers, it took me a while anyway, just to get back to that number. Just to get to that number, I'm nearly on 300 now, which is quite surprising.
Yeah, I checked the other day, 280 something.
285 or 6 or something. But my old channel had I think it was 600 or something like that. Right. But I think half of those subscribers were sub for sub, and I didn't. That's why another reason to start again. Don't do sub for subbing. That's another thing.
You blagged out
unless you actually genuinely like the person, they like you back, and you're willing to do collaborations with them, and then that will work. But it's not so much of a problem now. But when it comes to sub for subbing, it's sub for subbing is generally
Sorry, I lagged out a bit there. Just,
yeah, I'm just still. It's fine. I'll edit that out.
Okay.
Sub for subbing is it's not such a problem now, but now it's more to do with like people trying to get noticed, and it's a totally different culture now. So to people just starting out, stick to your craft, and if you're compelling in some way, just put your own stamp on it. And eventually you get people subscribing to you, like they stumble across you on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, or they discover you by chance on YouTube. They like your Let's Plays, and for whatever reason or whatever it is you do, and then you get like a fan base, and a lot of fan base, like in theory, it's like spread your channel to other people, and that's how you get noticed. Really, I think would you agree with that, or?
Yeah, sounds about right. I mean, post it on Twitter and stuff, because I'm a lot bigger on Twitter than I am on YouTube. Actually, I'm nearing 150 followers on Twitter, which I guess isn't that much in the grand scheme of things.
You've got more than me, and I've been on Twitter for ages. But it's just like where your focuses are, really. But I mainly use Twitter just to post links to my videos, really.
I mean,
you probably do use the hashtags more frequently than I do, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't generally for videos, but yeah, I know on my Twitter I just do just small micro blogging things like you normally do with Twitter. So like if there's a live event going on, for example, all the hilarity that happened during the recent Xbox One thing and E3 and all that sort of thing, Twitter is a great way to get your opinion out there as well. And then if you obviously put your YouTube channel on there as well, then people might be more inclined to go check you out if you're, compelling through Twitter, for example. Which I think where I might have got some of my people from, not entirely sure. I don't think I really have, but it's still it's just a fun little thing to have on the side there as well.
Trying like doing all these different like podcasts and trying to make that this, even if it's a small amount of people entertained, then like that's the battle won, isn't it? You've got like people like to listen to what you have to say. And ask you for opinions and advice and things, and like it's quite nice when people do that. When you don't, it's not all doom and gloom and like trolls trying to like get attention off you. You do get that every now and then. I haven't had anything like that recently though. But it's that's the best thing about YouTube is when making videos in general on the internet, I should say, because it's not. Some people might prefer to like start up on Blip or whatever. But that's the biggest thing, when people get into contact with you and like they come to you over everybody else for advice, and like they come to you for your specific brand of humour or videos, and they find it compelling to watch or listen to on the go or whatever.
It's just rewarding knowing that people will do that. I mean, I guess it would be if people did that for me, but not many people do.
How many have you got? Like 100 subscribers? That's 100 people.
No, I've only got 46.
Oh, 46. That's still 46 people. That's enough to fill a classroom. Well, more than a classroom.
To be fair, 12 of them are Jamie.
So about 30, should we say? Yeah. But yeah, it's when it don't like when you don't have that many subscribers, it's quite a long process to get noticed on the internet these days. It's more difficult. It's just like you just keep sticking at it, and people will come to you eventually, and like they share your videos with people. You just gotta like with me when it comes to my videos. I guess most people come to my channel because of my writing. I think mainly. Well, I'm not trying to blow my own trumpet here. I'm just trying to rationalise it in my head.
Your videos are always generally very well planned, and your delivery on
my Dream Valley video is currently my biggest hit so far. That's got 10,000 views, and it got shared on Equestria Daily and all that stuff, and that I really appreciated it when people shared it, made loads of comments on it, and gave me feedback on that. It was really useful. That one took me a long time to put together, and that was one of my biggest scripts I've ever written. It's just scripting is another thing. Scripting is it's not all videos require scripting. It's just like but when you do like a review or something, I would recommend doing a script, or at least plan ahead what you're going to say. Because especially with me, some people can just like talk about something on the fly, out off their head and like explain and elaborate like the different flaws and pros and cons of like a film or whatever.
Yeah.
I find that quite tricky. You tend to do it. You're pretty good at it actually, compared to me.
Yeah, well, I generally do it for, like, I generally do stuff that isn't scripted for, like, news, or, for example, like, after an event like E3 or something, I'll just sit there and talk and just see what comes out, but I always forget something at the end.
Well, I'm saying, like, generally your delivery is pretty solid. You tend to deliver things very well. Even if you do forget something, like, you do get your points across. I have problems remembering the order of things, and when I do vlogs, it takes me ages to do a vlog. Even if like a 20-minute vlog ends up taking me an hour to record because I spend 40 minutes flubbing everything up. So I'm saying to people, think about like what sort of format your video is going to take. If it's a vlog, it probably won't matter so much. You can just talk about like what is you're going to talk about, like what videos you're going to make or whatever. But like when you do a review or something with footage, maybe it might be a good idea to do a script. I'm saying to some people it comes naturally. They can just do a review off the top of their head, and even if they do flub it up, it's in a way that like it doesn't matter. It's a part of their style, I suppose. Style of delivery, because some people like take Ashens for example. I think you watch Ashens as well.
I do.
He sometimes like screws up his delivery or whatever, but it doesn't matter because it adds to the comedy of what he's doing. And like when things go wrong, and it's still a part of the package. It still works.
Same thing. Like if you take, for example, Igrat, like Jontron, for example, he's definitely his kind of stuff is really the kind of stuff I want to do, but I can never get the delivery right. I don't want to mimic him entirely, but the sort of editing
you can take influences from people, but not try and copy them outright as some channels do. Like you've got an Angry Video Game Nerd clone, like for like. I can't remember his name. I'm not going to name him because like it's just like it's utterly pathetic, really.
I know. I
can't even remember his name. It doesn't really matter. I'm not going to name him anyway. But you do get clones of people that just try and like for example, when you've got like I'm trying to think, like when you got like a famous YouTuber that's really popular, and you do get like clones of people just try and replicate what they're doing. Like, what's the point of that, really?
I know an example of one, and everyone already knows it already. So
you can feel free to name it if you want.
The Irate Gamer.
That's the one. That's the one I was thinking of. We're not going to get slacked for this, really, because like nobody watches this anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Nobody watches.
It'll come later, but you can tell it's not a homage; it's a direct copy, and I can say that off the bat. You can tell it's a complete rip-off.
There's like exact phrases he'll take sometimes. We don't want to dwell on that anyway.
No, really, but that's the point I'm trying to get across. But like you can take influences from people, sure, and maybe take some ideas, but you've got to put your own spin and your own mark on it. It might be the way you do a commentary. It might be the way you do humour. It might be the way that you film a video, even, or whatever. So it's just you got to think of your own. You got to put your own mark on it, and that can be quite difficult to find yourself, especially in the early stages of making YouTube videos. Like especially some of my early stuff is terrible, and you could probably say the same about your own content. Like I used to be terrible, but now at least I've improved.
Yeah, you do improve over time as long as you keep at it. Even if your first videos are rubbish, it's all good practice. So
exactly. Like when I'm going back to my very, very, very early vlogs now. I might dig some of them out. That might be quite funny, actually, just to see what
I've got some old vlogs, and like
I might start putting them together.
I've noticed it, but my flow and delivery when it comes to YouTube videos definitely have got better. So I look at my old vlogs, and there's a lot of umming and ahhing, and
you find your feet and stuff, don't you? The more you do it, like when I first did my first vlog, it was you can barely hear my voice. It was really quiet and. Stuff like that, and my hair was stupid as well. Like I had massive hair. It's just ridiculous.
Sorry, go on.
You carry on. I was
going to say in the long run, doing these whole things are like it helps improve your delivery and things as well, which will help you in real life as well. For example, at school or work, if you have to give a presentation or something, it really helps you with that sort of thing in the long run.
That's a good point.
I've been told a lot of times when I do presentations and stuff at school that most people, generally say I'm pretty good at it, and I figure I get most of the practice from doing YouTube videos. So
because
at least once where I'm in front of the camera.
It's weird because when you're doing presentations and stuff, like compared to YouTube, like YouTube should be harder to do, really. But,
yeah.
But because you're not actually being watched when you're actually like recording into a camera.
Yeah.
But in the end, like everybody potentially can see it on the internet if you put it on public. But like in the classroom sense, you've only got like about, I don't know, 10, 15 people watching what you're doing. But it's really weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like in theory, the YouTube thing should be harder, but it doesn't seem to be really. But when the potential audience is an awful lot bigger than doing a presentation in front of your classmates, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it is. It's just practice, really. Just like pick a style. Like, don't be afraid to experiment with your software. And again, another thing is like, don't be afraid to use like, everybody starts somewhere. I used to use what was it called, Windows Movie Maker. I think
everyone starts there.
Don't be even. Yes, I know. I haven't used that in years, and like it's not the best effect in the world, but it is a really good way to get into YouTube videos. Like it shows you the basics of editing and stuff like that. And when you feel you're confident to make the jump to something like maybe not Adobe Premiere straight away. I don't think I'm quite ready for that.
I've just started grappling with Final Cut Pro.
Yeah, bloody hell, you're making quite a big jump. Final Cut Pro is like the elite editing software that even the movie studios use. So if you can get to grips with that, then you're doing very well.
It's not too bad, to be honest. My latest review on JoJo's Bizarre Adventure was done entirely in that. That was the first serious piece of editing I've done there. And to be honest, it wasn't that hard to work with. And you can generally, if you want now to do something, you can look it up and there'll be a tutorial.
I have got a Mac and I'd love to get to grips with it at some point. It's just like I'm not quite... Because I'm quite comfortable with what I've got now with Video Pro X. I'm saying to people like, get comfortable with the software that you've got. Maybe I like Video Pro X or Magic's Video Edit Pro if you've got like the consumer version. This is like the bigger version of the one I'm using. I like it because it's a nice middle ground between beginner and advanced. Like it's intermediate sort of level. So it's got all the nice tools. It's got like all the simple cutting and swiping tools and stuff, but it's got a nice interface that's like borrows a lot from Windows Movie Maker, so you know where all your stuff is, and you got like a timeline at the bottom with multiple tracks. You can put videos wherever you want, and providing you got like a decent machine, you can run it fairly well. One
I definitely recommend. Now this is a pretty specific audience, but this is what I used until very recently actually. It's an older version of iMovie called iMovie HD. Now, I can tell you now, the newer versions of iMovie are pretty rubbish, if you ask me.
My brother said something about that. Like, why have they changed then?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, iMovie HD is you've got a lot of effects in there, and they're easy to use. But the problem is, it's only really good, oddly enough, if you have an older Mac machine, because it's not built to run on newer machines. Obviously, newer versions of iMovie are. So up until recently, I was using it, and it's not fun to use. It doesn't export videos, that into that higher quality, but there's a lot of effects on there, and I just get it crashing a lot, but that's only because I'm on a newer machine that's not optimized for. So generally, if you're on a MacBook, or hell, even an iBook, if we want to go that far back, from like mid 2000s, I suppose leaning a bit towards late 2000s, that's a really good one, I'd say.
It's just like I think the one that my brother's got, like I've got it as well, but I tend to be on the window because I've got like I'm mostly using my Windows partition on my Mac. I know. What's the point of having a Mac then? Well, I'll get into that in another podcast maybe, but because you can pull straws and that all day. But my brother uses his iMac, and he's got the iMovie, and what I've seen, it seems a bit basic to me. Not the iMovie HD, it's like the one that comes with it, like it's a 2011 iMac, before they took out the CD drives or whatever.
I'm not a fan of that iMovie, to be honest. I don't find it's very well optimized.
So it's just just experiment with start off small. Everybody starts off small, and then once you get the concept of like using title cards and start to using commentary tracks and stuff, and then once you've done a few videos and you start to get better, then make the jump to something more what's the word
Advanced?
something more advanced, yeah, exactly,
Professional.
something more capable, let's just say,
Yeah.
that can handle like stuff, more advanced effects like green screen and stuff, or chroma key and stuff. It's
Yeah.
quite easy to do, but that's why I like Video Pro X. It's a nice balance. It's quite old now, actually. I think it's on X4 now, actually. But
Oh, right.
I tried X3. I tried a trial of it, but it seemed really unstable. It's just maybe they've patched it by now. But this was like about 6 months ago. I tried it, and it was really
okay.
unstable. So I went back to the Video Pro X1. Which is a nice solid build. It's got H.284. Was it 2 H.264 codec
Yeah,
support,
something like that. I'm not.
and whole variety,
my
yeah.
knowledge on codecs on that isn't that big, so.
Yeah, I can export into a wide range of video formats, AVI, MPEG, and the rest of them, and MPEG-4 for web. So it's a nice bit of software if any of you guys are interested in trying it out. I think it's about like £30. Like it's called Magic's Video Edit Pro. I think it's on 17. I think. And like Video Pro X is the one I got free off Amazon a couple of years ago now. Is the bigger version of that. With it's the same principle, but it's got a few more effects in it because it's geared towards the professional market more so than the consumer based one. But most of the features are intact, so it's really good software.
Yeah.
So that's what I'd recommend after you've if you've been experimenting with it for a good while. I'm just trying to think any other pointers can you think of to new people out there?
I think we've been over all really. Yeah.
Because I can't think of any more, and we've been recording for nearly an hour and a half, so I think we've covered all the bases. Really, because it was half an hour ago, and you said, "Oh, let's talk about like the pointers for you."
Yeah, we just. I
was going to cover that, but I completely forgot. Thank you for reminding me of that.
Oh, don't worry. Yeah.
That's what happens. Like he's got his head screwed on. You see, Caleb has. Go check out his videos.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for joining me in this podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure interviewing you, Caleb. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Go check it out. Go check out his channel. It's NessMudkipz with a Z. I'll put all links in the description. Feel free to check out his channel. If you're into your anime or getting started in your anime, go check out his vlogs and podcasts and what have you. And of course, check out NeoGamesBox as well, because we talked about him as well.
Yeah.
We got all of us are connected in some way. So
yeah, pretty much.
you're probably likely to come across like a collab on like either of our channels or like one of our channels that are linked.
Yeah, like 2 videos ago, me and Chris were in the same video, so.
You're probably likely to see him in like other subscriptions that you're getting into. Check out NeoGamesBox and check out BDT87 and of course Tashfin as well, because they're all, if you're into your anime, they're all linked thematically, so go check those guys out. What else have I got to say? Feel free to, I think I mentioned this before at the beginning of the podcast, but I'll for those who want to download the MP3 version of all our podcasts, feel free to subscribe to our newly set up podcast feed. Our Jellycast website hasn't been used in ages. It's the first time in like months and months that I've actually got it up and running again. I've uploaded all previous episodes of this YouTuber Spotlight, as well as our latest Astrognition podcast talking about E3, so feel free to download those at your leisure if you want, as an audio only version, or if you want you can watch them on YouTube or Blip TV if that's your if that's your way inclined. As always, all the links to everything that we've talked about in this video are in the description, and click the links at your own leisure. So thank you very much, Caleb, for joining me.
That's absolutely fine.
I have no idea who I'm going to get for episode 6. I've got a few candidates and might see if I can get them on the show, because I think these are quite interesting, like giving pointers to new subscribers and talking about channels and stuff. It's been good fun interviewing you. Hopefully I haven't taken too much of your time. You've probably got other things to do.
Don't worry, I really came on Skype, but I didn't have anything else to do.
Oh, that's
not that books or anything.
What are you saying? This is a waste of time. Probably. We'll see what the other viewers think of it. But thank you everybody for listening and watching. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.